Welcome to the City Council meeting called Tuesday, October 27th, 2020. Do I have a motion to suspend the rules?
Second.
I have a motion by George Lawrence, seconded by Paul Tisdale. Discussion? Ms. Lucy, if you'd read the additions, please.
To our consent agenda, we're adding item 5Q, resolution authorizing the receipt of municipal audit for fiscal year 2018-19. And we're also adding a 5R, resolution to declare a state of an emergency for Tropical Storm Zeta.
Do we have any discussion regarding those additions? There being none, I call for the question. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. This will bring us to the presentation agenda. Mr. Mayor, your report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. And here we go again. I think the second item as far as things in the Gulf. So we appreciate everyone paying attention to what's happening. We're hopeful that we won't be in the cone of uncertainty for too much longer. But I think Larry and the group have evacuated or began the evacuation, and the boat parade on the bay is underway right now. And I understand your workshop was pretty good today with the State Tax Commission. I think I want to congratulate Parks and Recreation and everybody that participated in that Halloween drive-through. I know we touched, at least I touched about 500 cars. So it was well done, and I'm appreciative of everybody that helped and participated. And Mike, I think that's about all I got to say.
Well, we already had them once today, so they about wore out.
All right, well, that's good. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Do we have any departmental reports or an update by Escarenda?
No reports.
All right, we'll start with the council report then. Councilman Tisdale.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would like to note that we have under 4A an appointment to the Coast Transportation Authority, CTA, Jeff Braden. He's unable to be here today. He's a local guy, good guy, very analytical. He's retired from business, and he said to mention that he's grateful to represent the city on this commission, and he thanks the council and the mayor for this opportunity. The other comment I have is just we had a copy of the latest B News November in front of our seats, and it's a really nice, excellent monthly publication by the city and a good deal for advertisers if you're interested in getting your message to every household in the city of Biloxi. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Tisdale. Councilwoman Newman. Councilman Lawrence.
Yeah, we had a great parade on Holiday. We allowed roughly 600 bags of candy. Actually, we've been on the candy the last 7 days.
George, I bought $70 worth of candy myself. Now, yeah, okay. We some people, yeah, I'm just kidding. That was good. Yeah, it was good. Mm.
Seal. So, I mean, the traffic was a lot.
At one point, it was
Like the
the
police
whole block.
department. It turned out great. It was a good event. The other thing I'd like to introduce Mark Lammy. Mark would like to address the administration and the council. Get about a mic.
Mark, if you would please state your name and your address for the record for me. And I know this isn't citizens' comments, but if you would sign in for us.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Lammy. I know a lot of familiar faces in this room, but I'm here today on behalf of the Lammy family. My father had just recently passed in August, and the city council, Honorable Mayor Fofo Gillich, along with this great city council men and ladies, I want to thank y'all for acknowledging my father. Great man, unsung historian for the city of Biloxi. I also like to direct many thanks to Vincent Creel. He was part and instrumental in the send-off that my father had. Chief Boney, great man. Your staff went beyond. I wouldn't have been able to wipe the smile off my father's face. And along with the City of Biloxi Police Department, the ceremony was excellent, more than I even expected. My father was a volunteer fireman for many, many, many moons, and he always told us kids, hang around the fire department, you'll learn some things, which we did. But on behalf of the Lammy family and all you great people, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mark. Thank you for being here. Thank you for those
Sign in,
sentiments.
Mark?
Thank you.
Did you sign in?
Sorry for the delay, gentlemen.
Mr. Lawrence?
That concludes my report.
Mr. Barrett?
I have no report.
Mr. Guines?
Yeah, I want to just foot stomp on the Halloween. Had a great time at the Halloween. I guess Sherry Bell didn't want to put me by the mayor because she probably figured we'd cut up too much. Yeah, you missed my Kung Fu outfit. I had on the Kung Fu outfit by the old Goodyear in the Bond House. And like George said, we gave out tons and tons of candy. And those last 5 or 6 cars didn't have enough candy for them. So it was a great time. That's one that we probably need to continue. We need to make sure we continue that because that's the safest. Even out of a pandemic year, that would be the safest way of doing it. I want to thank the mayor and Bill Ray Group for cleaning up Division Street. They kind of went down, got a lot of the weeds up out of the sidewalk, so I appreciate that. And I want to catch up with Walt later on about some fencing. Other than that, please stay safe during the possibility of the storm. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Guines. Councilman Glavin?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start off by kudos to Sherry Bell. This ought to be Sherry Bell Day. Her staff did a wonderful job also on Saturday with the pickleball tournament. We had nearly 100 players participate in that tournament. We thought we were going to raise around $5,000. We eclipsed the $8,000 mark when it was all said and done. Had just a terrific time. The weather was kind of iffy to start with in the morning, but it turned out to be Chamber of Commerce-like weather. The Flounders and the Gulls got together, had a really good time, and the Flounders, I think, had 1,200 points. The Gulls had 1,100, but in the end, Real Men Wear Pink and the American Cancer Society was the big winner. So it was just tremendous to see all the tents and all the people that were participating in that event. So kudos to Sherry Bell, her support staff. I can't say enough how efficient and wonderful they were. Also, on the agenda, there's an item, I'm sure it'll pass unanimously. We're supporting some funding for the Golden Fisherman. It goes without saying, in these times, and seeing the Lamey family and all the ones that we recognize during these council meetings and who we represent, to see all those names on that Golden Fisherman brings back memories of what they stood for and why we are here today and trying to build upon that success. What else we got? Just a little tourism update. Just so everybody knows, last month, first month since the pandemic, that we actually saw occupancies better than the same time last year, the first month. That's an encouraging sign. There's a lot of dynamics in this thing because you got basically New Orleans 75% shut down, which is a feeder city, and that may be prompting some artificial demand, so to speak, for lack of a better word. So when they open back up and absorb some more of that demand next year, will it continue and spill over? The optimist in me says it will, but it's just something we got to continue to plan on as we round the corner, as the president say, and get on with our business. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman Glavin. My report to begin with, the pickleball tournament, I've got to apologize. I wasn't able to make it out. I had to put out some fires, well, metaphor fires, nothing like the men and women of our great fire department actually do when they put their lives on the line, if and when we call on them. But my fires prevented me from being there, and lucky for whoever won that tournament. I'm just kidding. But you still got my money either way. I'm glad you guys had a great turnout, and it turned out very well. I wish I could have been there. Mr. Mayor, I spoke with Ms. Bell, and I don't see her here, and we talked about coordinating efforts on resurfacing those fields near the pickleball courts on Pops Ferry Road. So I want to thank you for that and look forward to a coordinated effort to get that accomplished. I don't see Ms. Labata here either, so I'll reach out to her directly later today to talk about some of the concerns I have. Other than that, I have nothing. And so this will bring us to citizens' comments. We've got 45 minutes total, 3 minutes per person. I'll begin with anybody on the right-hand side of the room or my left-hand side of the room. If they would care to speak, please come to the table, state your name and address, and sign in for me. If there's anybody on the right-hand side of the room that would care to speak, this is the time. There being none, I'll move to the left-hand side of the room or my right-hand side of the room. Again, 3 minutes. If anybody would care to speak, please come forward at this time. Is there anybody in the back of the room that would care to speak? We'll move forward. We're clearly doing a great job and nobody has any complaints today. We'll start with the policy agenda. Lucy?
Resolution appointing Jeffrey Braden to the Mississippi Coast Transportation Authority Board.
So moved.
I've got a motion by Paul Tisdale and a second by George Lawrence. Is there any discussion? I know Mr. Tisdale, you're first. You already mentioned this.
Yeah, nothing, no comment.
Mr. Lawrence?
Anytime anybody wants to volunteer for these things, fine. Appreciate them. No problem.
Any other discussion on the board? I'll call for the question. All in favor, signal with the raise of your hand, please. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move this to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda? We've got a motion by George Lawrence and a second by Paul Tisdale. Do we have any discussion? Mr. Lawrence?
Just a couple quick things. I see we're reappointing a lot of people. It's amazing that these people sign up to help you do these things. So that's great. Right. The only one when I asked a question about it, the one we added, the 5Q, I've still been working with the accountant on some of these figures. So how are we going to handle that? Are we going to adjust these figures once we do this? Or we just accepted the book itself right now?
It's been corrected as far as my knowledge, Diana, as far as Q.
Q?
Yeah, they're accepting.
It's the receipt of the municipal audit, Mr. Leonard. We spoke via email on this.
Okay, I emailed a final copy of the audit to all the council on Friday. I gave a hard copy to George. Not paying favorites or anything there, but anyway, he also got an electronic copy. And in the email, I pointed out some pertinent paragraphs to look at, to just get a quick look. But basically, none of the key factors that you saw almost 2 months ago, in terms of changes in fund balance, changes in different budget revenue over cost and everything, all of those numbers stayed exactly the same. There was just a lot of cleanup that had to be done on that, and we got hung up for a very long time on the HCUA not having their input into our budget. So what you got was the same bottom line, the same numbers in that budget as you saw, 2 months ago, and we're running up against some really hard deadlines right now for getting the CAFR out to various agencies that we have to provide it to. So we've got an end of the month deadline, and it's really kind of now or never. So we're asking you to approve the budget. If you need to have us to sit with you and go through some of the numbers, we can do that. But we really needed this before this month is over. We need a budget. We need to audit approved.
Let me jump in too. The utility authority just accepted their budget at the last meeting, which was a week ago. So I think that was the excuse that drove our auditors to that point. But now everything is official as far as we know, and everything is the same as far as the beginnings and the endings of the balances as was presented. The draft audit 2 meetings ago, I believe. Is that right? 2 meetings ago? Nothing has changed except a few of the, as Mike said, the cleanup figures.
I just had a couple of numbers a bit wrong, but met with her, and Mike Leonard got to get his eyes checked because he transferring the wrong figures. The figure's supposed to be 92, he did 22. Supposed to be 55, he did 85. So he's got to look at that. That little phone is not getting it, Mike. You have to get some bigger glasses. So when you're flipping them numbers, you're flipping the wrong numbers. So it makes everything wrong. So, but we corrected that. And there's just a few things that we're trying to check with her. That's all I'm trying to do, is to make sure everything's right. The numbers have got to be correct, you know. So you can't be 3 on 3 different pages and then another page is changed. So either one of them's right and 3's wrong, or 3's
Call it a
right and
Scribner's
one-
error? Could that be a Scribner's error? I don't know.
that's-
Lawyer, is that right? Okay.
And I give her a list, and she checked a bunch of them already. We downloaded some of them before the meeting. So that's all I'm doing, making sure the numbers are correct.
And keep in mind, this is the audit for the year ending September of 2019.
Right, all this resolution is doing is asking us to acknowledge the receipt of the municipal audit and authorizing us to send that audit to the state agencies. That's all this is doing. We're not voting on a budget or passing anything. It's just acknowledging the receipt and authorizing the administration to send it to the required departments in the state, correct?
Correct.
Well, we're gonna, if we send it to the state, we'll tell them it's not approved by the council, the governing authorities yet.
But it will be today, so.
Sorry,
Passed.
repeat that.
My question's always been the same thing, Robert, is just make sure the numbers are right.
Right, but I'm
That's
saying,
what, they gotta be correct, that's all I'm doing.
I agree that the numbers have to be correct,
That's all.
but this resolution is just acknowledging the receipt of it and authorizing us to pass this forward, correct?
Is it gonna go as an approved budget, approved audit, or is it just gonna go? What we're asking you to do, we're asking you to approve the audit, to accept the audit as written, to accept it.
How can you do that if there's a question about some of the errors that may be in the content of the audit?
Page numbers.
Well, you give me a page number and I'll explain the number to you.
Mr.
If you
Mike,
want to get into
Mr.
detail
Leonard,
today.
let me read. It says, "Now therefore be it resolved by the mayor and the city council of the city of Biloxi, the receipt of the municipal audit of the city of Biloxi for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2019, as prepared by the certified public accounting firm of Piltz, Williams, Rosa and Company is hereby acknowledged. The mayor, municipal clerk, and all other appropriate and necessary municipal employees are hereby authorized to send 2 copies of the audit to the state auditor and to publish the synopsis in the city of Biloxi municipal audit for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2019, and in a time and in a manner required by law." It does not say that we're approving anything. It clearly acknowledges the receipt of and authorizes you to publish it. And so that's what I want to make sure that what we're doing is what you're suggesting we're doing is actually covered by this resolution. I think this resolution only gives us the right to acknowledge the receipt and authorize you to pass it forward. And if that's not correct, please advise us. If you have different intent, I would like to see changes in the language to reflect your intent.
No, it is. Were you asking, receiving what the auditors were tasked to do?
To
Right.
receive it
That's it.
and publish it.
Correct.
Exactly.
Any other council discussion? Do you have any other items that you would care to discuss, Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Tisdale, you're second up.
But yes, I have nothing to add.
Thank you.
No problem.
Councilwoman Newman. Councilman Glavin.
On item R, I know we've added the resolution for the state of emergency and given the mayor full authority to take whatever action to preserve the public safety and all that kind of stuff. I would just want to make a comment as we get through everything we're getting through and now potentially another storm coming through. If there are any short-term damages, I would ask that we consider those businesses that have already went through the horrible effects of the pandemic and economic downturns and all that kind of stuff, that we would not burden them with any additional permits or anything if they have to do some repairs after the storm. That's just a comment I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Glavin. Councilman Guines? Councilman Barrett? Nothing. And I have nothing further. That being said, I'll call for the question. All in favor of the consent agenda as is, please signal to raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any objections to any item specifically on the agenda by any council member individually? There being none, we'll move on to the routine agenda. I've got a motion by Felix Guines, a second by George Lawrence. Councilperson Guines, do you have any discussion on the routine agenda? Councilman Lawrence?
Popular, how we doing with the money? Any added money coming in? Or we have any money in the pipeline?
No, there's no money in the pipeline. There's no money in the pipeline, and, number one. Number two, Warren Paving, by the way, Walt's out sick. Warren Paving pulled off, doing initial paving for a couple of weeks to do another high priority job. They're gonna be back a week from now and starting, to do some more final paving on Porter Avenue and, Forest and that area. So they'll be back doing final paving here in a couple of weeks.
Thank you.
I'll call for the question. All in favor? Routine agenda? Motion carries unanimously. We got through this meeting pretty rapidly. I think it's because of the shoes I'm wearing. I'm going to wear these more often.
We moving.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion adjourned by George Lawrence, seconded by Paul Tisdale. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We're adjourned.